Hi, welcome to Lesson 31, Session 2. We're going to continue our work understanding the coordinate plane. We learned quite a bit of vocabulary yesterday, so I'm going to go ahead and go back over that vocabulary with you with a few examples, and then we'll get started. We'll be working in our Ready Classroom Math Workbook. We'll be on pages 651 through 654. So you can go ahead and turn to page 651. But I am going to go over some of the vocabulary before we begin. So we're on page 651. All right, so to begin, I want to go over this coordinate plane vocabulary with you. So to remind you, the coordinate plane is the space when a horizontal number line and a vertical number line are lined up so that the zeros meet. So an example here would be our x-axis is always our horizontal axis. Our y-axis is always our vertical axis. Where the 2 points meet is where the 0 of the x and the 0 of the y intersect. That is the point of origin. So this here is the coordinate plane. The x-axis is the horizontal number line, the number line going side to side in the coordinate plane. The y-axis is the vertical number line, the number line that goes up and down in the coordinate plane. The point of origin is the point where the x-axis and the y-axis intersect in the coordinate plane. So your point of origin is going to be here, and it's often labeled with an O for origin. A lot of people think that the O there means 0, but it actually means that it's an O for the point of origin, but it also kind of serves double duty because it also is where the X value is 0 and the Y value is 0. An ordered pair is a pair of numbers that describe the location of a point in a coordinate pair. Remembering that the x value always comes first and the y comes second. Always, that will never change. It's always x first, then y. So you're going to find the x value first, which on this ordered pair, the 2 is the x value, so that comes first. And then the 1 is the y value, the value of this point on the y-axis, and that is the second number. Remember that an ordered pair always is the 2 digits are always separated by a comma, and they are located inside of a pair of parentheses. The x-coordinate is the first number in the ordered pair. So for example, this 2 is the x-coordinate because it comes first. The y-coordinate is the second number in an ordered pair. So this 1 would be the y-coordinate because it's the second number in the ordered pair. And so that is our vocabulary that we've learned for coordinate planes, and that vocabulary learning that will serve you well over the next several days because we'll be working with coordinate planes for a while. Number 1 says this: points A, B, and C. A, B, and C are graphed or plotted in the coordinate plane below. So these would be plotted or graphed in the coordinate plane below. Use the graph to write the ordered pair for each point. So we're going to find the ordered pair for point A, B, and C. The important thing to remember is that in an ordered pair, we always use parentheses. The x value always comes first, then a comma, and then the y value. So it's always going to, so all of these ordered pairs are going to use this format. And so let's go ahead and start with point A. So point A, to find the value of point A, we're going to go, the x value, we're going to go to the x-axis and find what is the value of point A on the x-axis. So we can see that the point A is located at 0 because it's at the point of origin, so it's at 0. And then the y-axis for this one is easy because we're just going to see where on the y-axis, where does point A land? It's at the number 2. So the ordered pair for point A is 0, 2. 0, 2. The x value is 0, the y value is 2. Now let's do point B. We're going to go over and find our x value first. Our x value is 2 because B is low. If we drew a line straight down from the letter B, it would hit and intersect at the 2. So the x value is 2. If we drew a line from B to the y-axis, it would intersect at the 4. So the y value is 4. So another way you can look at this is to get from the point of origin up to part B, we would go over 2. That's what this 2 tells us. And then we would go up 4, which is what this 4 tells us. Over 2, up 4. And that's how we get to point B. Now we're going to do point C. How many do we need to go over to get to where C would intersect? That's right, we need to go over 4. So the x value for C, or the x coordinate, would be 4. The y coordinate would be 1. You also could just look at how many units up you need to count. And to get from the 4 up to the letter C, you only can go up 1 unit. So with the x value, the y value would be 1. Now for part 2, it says plot the following points in the coordinate plane in problem 1. Label each point with its letter name. So we're going to do point D and point E. So for point D, we're going to have an x value of 1 and a y value of 0. So if we start with the x value, we're going to move on the x-axis over to the number 1. Then for the y value, we're going to move up as many units as we have value. So the value is 0, so we are not going to move it all. This point here is going to be point D because it has an x value of 1 and a y value of 0. Now we're going to do point E. For point E, how many units are we going to count over on the x-axis? That's right, we're going to go over 3 units. And then how many units up are we going to go from that point? We're going to go up 2 units. 1, 2. So the value, so point E is located at an x-axis, an x coordinate of 3 and a y coordinate of 2. So hopefully this is starting to make sense to you about how we would locate an ordered pair on a coordinate plane. We're going to go ahead and move to page 652. All right, so the x and y coordinates can also be organized in a table like the one below. Using the coordinate plane on the previous page, use the coordinate plane on the previous page to complete the table with the coordinate points for A, B, and C. So remember, we wrote those coordinates down. We wrote down that point A had an x value of 0 and a y value of 2. So if we come back to our table, point A had an x value of 0, because this is the x value, these are the x values, and a y value of 2. So all the top numbers are our x coordinates, and all the bottom numbers are our y coordinates. Now we're going to go look at B. B had an x coordinate of 2 and a y coordinate of 4. So we're going to put the 2 by the x coordinate and then the 4 by the y coordinate. And then finally, C had an x coordinate of 4 and a y coordinate of 1. So we're going to put an x coordinate of 4 and a y coordinate of 1. So now we've used the coordinate plane to complete the table from the previous page. Now we're going to look at part B. Part B says this. Use the coordinates given for point F. So we're going to look at this right here. For point F in the table to graph the point F on the coordinate plane on the previous page. So we know the top number we know is our x coordinate. So we're going to have an x coordinate of 4 and a y coordinate of 3. So an x coordinate of 4 and a y coordinate of 3. So for the x coordinate, we're going to move over to 4, and then we're going to move up 3 units to find the y coordinate. 1, 2, 3. So point F would be right there. It has an x coordinate of 4 and a y coordinate of 3. Let's go back and look and see if that's what we think it should be. An x coordinate of 4, a y coordinate of 3. Yes, that's what we were supposed to do. Now, for part C, it says explain how you can tell from the table which 2 points are located on the same vertical grid line in the coordinate plane. So when we're talking about the same vertical grid line, that means if we're looking at all these grids, all these lines that go up and down, which 2 points are on the same vertical grid line, meaning that there's 2 values that are both on the same line that goes up and down. Which 2 points is that? That's right, point F and point C. Both are on the same vertical grid line. Now, if you thought it was A and E, don't get mistaken. A and E are on the same horizontal grid line. We're talking about vertical. So F and C are on the same vertical line. So C and F are on the same vertical grid line because they have the same x coordinate. So if you look up here and you look at C and F, C has an x coordinate of 4 and F has an x coordinate of 4. So they both have the same x coordinate, which means that they're going to be on the same vertical grid line. All right, so for number 4, how do the coordinate plane and the table represent points? How are the x and y coordinates of a point shown in a model? So on a coordinate plane, a point is shown to see the distance from the origin to scale. So in other words, you're going to see exactly where that point lies, on that coordinate, that ordered pair lies on a coordinate plane. You're going to see it exactly where it would go. On the table, the points are shown with their x coordinates in the first row and their y coordinates in the second row. So it's a little bit easier to look at and compare all the x and y coordinates, but you wouldn't really see what they look like on an actual coordinate plane. So that's kind of the biggest difference between the table and the actual coordinate plane, is that one just shows the x and y values and the other shows what it looks like in data. Now we're going to look at number 5. Number 5 says this. Plot the point A, which is the ordered pair 1, 4, and point B, which is the ordered pair 3, 0 on the coordinate plane. So if we wanted to plot A, the 1 tells us how many units we move from the origin on the x-axis. So we're going to move over 1. And then the 4 tells us how many units we're going to travel up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to label that point A because we moved over 1 on the x-axis and up to 4 on the y-axis. For point B, we're going to move over 3 on the x-axis. Remember, it's the we always do x first. And then we're going to move up 0 units. So we're going to stay right here, and that is going to be point B. Now today on your own, you're going to go ahead and do pages 653 and 654. If you have any questions, you can always email your teacher. Otherwise, I will see you next time.